Welcome to the Explainer. Right now, at the very top of our planet, a quiet but absolutely dramatic geographic transformation is taking place. We are literally watching the map of the world get redrawn in real time. We're talking about an entire ocean melting. And as that thick, bright blue Arctic ice disappears, leaving a trail of dark, navigable water behind it, the world's superpowers are quietly preparing for a freezing confrontation.
So what actually happens when an entire ocean melts? I mean, when a region that's been locked in solid ice for all of human history just suddenly opens up. Well, it triggers a high-stakes geopolitical race. Let's look at the evidence and track exactly how this melting ice is driving a brewing confrontation between global superpowers.
Here's the escalating domino effect we're going to be breaking down today. We'll start with the changing Arctic map, move into the so-called polar Silk Road, look at the untapped trillion-dollar treasure hidden up there, the militarization of the high north, and finally, the new geopolitical frontline.
All right, part one, the changing Arctic map.
Look, for centuries, the Arctic was basically this frozen peripheral wasteland, right? It was mostly ignored in grand geopolitical strategy. But today, rapid climate change is completely transforming that geography. In the near future, we're looking at newly accessible shipping lanes cutting directly between Europe, North America, and Asia. It's like a brand new global highway system is literally emerging from the melting ice.
Which brings us to part two, the polar Silk Road.
Now, you are going to be hearing this term a lot in the coming years. Experts call it the polar Silk Road. These are the new maritime trade routes opened up by climate change that can drastically reduce shipping times between Europe and Asia. And guys, this isn't some far-off theoretical concept anymore. It's a developing reality that completely bypasses the traditional, congested waterways we've relied on for over a century.
Think about our traditional routes. They rely heavily on massive, crowded choke points. Think the Suez Canal. And we've all seen exactly what happens to global supply chains when those choke points get blocked, right? Total chaos. The polar Silk Road, on the other hand, slashes shipping times by thousands of kilometers. By sailing literally over the top of the world, cargo ships are going to save massive amounts of time, fuel, and money. It is an absolute game changer for global maritime trade.
Moving on to part three, the untapped trillion-dollar treasure.
Here is where things get really wild. The Arctic holds an estimated 22% of the world's undiscovered oil and natural gas. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly a quarter of the entire planet's remaining untapped fossil fuel energy is just sitting there beneath the seabed, previously locked away by ice. But as that ice recedes, getting to it becomes a highly lucrative reality.
Let's put some hard numbers to that percentage. We're talking about roughly 90 billion barrels of oil. 90 billion! But what's probably even more critical for us in the 21st century is that the region, especially places like Greenland, holds an estimated 1.5 million tons of rare earth elements. Why should you care? Because these are the exact minerals we need to build AI tech, electric vehicles, and advanced defense systems. The very resources required to power the future are literally buried right under the Arctic.
And that trillion-dollar prize leads right into part four, militarizing the high north. Unsurprisingly, the military buildup has already started, and it is highly systematic. Recent satellite intelligence shows us exactly what Russia's doing up there. Step 1, establishing sprawling new infrastructure stretching from Pekinja all the way down to Karelia in northwestern Russia. Step 2 is building massive new military bases. We're talking barracks, warehouses, vehicle depots right along the Nordic border. So economic opportunity is directly driving military fortification. To really grasp the scale of this buildup, just consider this number. 115,000. That is the troop capacity of these newly constructed Russian bases along the border. Moscow is making absolutely sure it has a massive physical presence right at the doorstep of the Arctic Circle.
But of course, the rest of the world isn't just sitting back. As one quote perfectly puts it, with the recent addition of Finland and Sweden, the alliance has effectively turned the Arctic into a NATO lake. This fundamentally alters the strategic balance of the entire region. Think about it. The expansion of NATO means that almost all the territory surrounding the Arctic, aside from Russia's coastline, is now unified under a single defense pact.
Which brings us to our final section, part 5, the geopolitical front line.
What we have now are simultaneous global maneuvers underway. You've got Russia's Nordic border buildup, NATO launching its Arctic Sentry operation, Washington pivoting its radar focus up to Greenland, and Beijing pouring heavy financial investment into polar mining. Literally every major superpower is scrambling for a foothold.
Let's break down these strategic actions really quick. NATO's Arctic Sentry is a massive, multi-domain military operation explicitly designed to monitor Russian submarine movements and defend the strategic sea lines of the North Atlantic. Meanwhile, the U.S. has renewed its focus on Greenland, using Space Force radar capabilities at the Pacific Space Base to keep a watchful eye on the region. And China? Even though they aren't geographically an Arctic nation, they're aggressively securing their interests through heavy investments in polar mining operations, specifically targeting those rare earth elements we were talking about earlier.
All of this leaves us with one incredibly pressing question. Who will actually control the top of the world? The ice is melting, the cargo ships are moving, and the world's militaries are digging in. The dominoes have fallen. To stay ahead of the hidden forces reshaping our map, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our explainer for more deep dives into the topics shaping our world. Catch you next time.